morning. Welcome to the Wild Carrot Farmstead. I'm Tanya Snyder, and this is one of our barns. I thought today we'd talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is goats, and the difference between large breed and small breed and what might be right for you and your homestead. Myself, I have a strong opinion on what I prefer to raise. However, just because that is my opinion does not mean it'll apply to you and your homestead. So I will try to be as unbiased as I can. And let's go ahead and get into this. I prefer large or standard breed goats. Now, those breeds, just to name a few off the top of my head, are Nubians, Saanens, La Mancha, Alpine. We'll stick with those. There's more beyond that. Oberhausen, I love those, but we don't have any on our farm right now. That was my first buck. Then you have your mini breeds, which are like Nigerian dwarfs, mini Nubians, mini La Manchas. All these minis are often bred with a Nigerian dwarf. So for example, if you have mini La Manchas, it was probably a standard size La Mancha bred with a Nigerian dwarf, which is a mini size goat to get the mini La Mancha. So it's no secret that I do prefer large breed, or I should say standard size goats. And why is that? My first, probably biggest point with why I prefer standard breeds is production. We are a dairy farm primarily. So I am looking for large milk production that is preferred. Mini breeds just do not produce as much milk as a standard size goat. Even goats that are bred with excellent dairy lines, if you compare an excellent dairy line mini goat to an excellently bred dairy line standard goat, you're still going to get quite a bit more milk per day from that standard goat. My standard goats, I get about a gallon of milk per goat per day. With our minis, the most I've gotten with a really, to me, what would be a well-bred dairy line goat from our minis is about a quart of milk a day. Now, the next answer or rebuttal to this point of mine is, hey girl, is I don't need that much milk. Okay, maybe you don't. However, there's always a solution and a way to process and use up overabundance of milk produced on your farm. You can sell it. You can make milk, lotions and goat milk soaps from it. You could give it away. You can make cheese. You can make butter. Yes, butter from goat milk, cream. There's just so much you could do with it. So the fact that you say, or some people might say, I don't need that much. Yeah, you kind of do. It's not a big deal to have overproduction. Get creative, figure it out. I'd rather have too much production than in a position where I'm not getting enough production. Another point about standard sized goats that I enjoy is they have bigger, stronger babies in my experience. They are more durable, just stronger creatures. They have also longer legs. This is a Saanen behind me. Both of these girls are Saanens, my favorite breed. They have long legs, and I'm 6 foot tall, so I appreciate that I don't have to bend down super low to gather up a goat or to chase after it. Just like large and small breed dogs, their temperaments tend to be calmer. They're a little bit more stable. They move slower. They don't jump as much. A mini breed tends to be boingier, bouncier, more playful, therefore springing up and over out of fence lines and gates and squeezing through spaces can be a problem on the farm with mini breeds. We find that raising standards, we don't have as many of these issues. Also, I just like the way they look better. I believe a lot of standard sized goats get a bad rap because, well, a lot of them aren't as pretty as your mini breeds are. Most of them are not blue-eyed. Most of them don't come in flashy moon spots or, different types of patterns and colors. Another thing standard size goats do is tend to only breed one time a year and a couple months out of the year in the fall, and only tend to have 1 or 2 kids per year, where a mini goat can often be bred anytime during the year, sometimes twice a year, and often with mini breeds you get 3, 4 goats, baby goats born at a time. So that can be an advantage to raising mini breeds or a disadvantage depending what you're going for. My final point for raising standard size breeds is if we don't have any females born on the farm and we're a dairy, then we are left with males and what to do with those. We eat our male goats. We raise them up till they're old enough to be butchered. We butcher them and eat them. Eating a mini goat doesn't provide as much sustenance, not as much meat. So for us in our homestead, the logical choice would be the standard size for meat consumption as well. Now, I'm not trying to villainize the mini breeds, so let's go through some advantages of those. I've kind of touched on a few as almost like a disadvantage to us, but could be an advantage to others. They are smaller, and a mini breed goat, they're excellent foragers. They eat fodder and hay and trees and almost anything they can find, unlike grazers. So both breeds, standard and mini, honestly don't consume a whole lot on the farmstead to begin with. However, a mini breed will consume less, so that could be positive. You could also possibly have more of them, more mini breeds in one area, since they do have a smaller footprint and don't take up as much space. Again, when we're speaking of livestock, goats, especially standard and mini breeds, are both small animals and don't take up much room or acreage at all and are light on the land. That is an advantage to both breeds. We love the versatility of goats. You don't need a lot of space. They can provide meat, dairy, and offspring, both breeds. So keep that in mind. Consider what you're raising them for. If you're looking to raise to sell the kids as even pets, then your mini breeds might be the right way to go. They are cute. The babies are little, and they're also born, like I mentioned, in high numbers. So if you have a vision of raising cute goats to sell for pets more than dairy or food, then maybe a mini breed is for you because more are born at once. Therefore, the potential to make more money off those babies is higher. And they are so little and so cute. And as I mentioned, boingy and springy and playful more than the standard breeds. That can be a pro or a con. Like I said, it is really difficult sometimes to contain those mini breeds. However, they are more fun to watch and are a little more exciting to play with and watch play. And as I touched on before, mini breeds can often breed a couple times per year, unlike our alpine or standard size breeds that breed one time per year. And again, you get flashier, prettier breeds of goats. Saanens, for example, back to our standard size, only come in white. They're just white. So sometimes they can be difficult to sell versus your flashy, cute, blue-eyed, full of color minis, right? So, however, we aren't raising our goats to sell per se. We're raising them for the homestead. So I personally love the white. I have no problem with the white. Non-flashy goat needs love too, and they have a function. I also feel like minis might be a little less durable. They seem a little weaker and slower to start at birth, a little just more susceptible to elements and disease than our standard size. But again, they're so cute. So let's recap, okay? A standard size goat, what we like about them. They are tall and mellow. Don't get out of fences, and yields high production. Those are our pros. Our cons, possibly to a standard size goat: only breeding once per year, only having 1 or 2 babies per year. And could be a con is production is high, and that they tend to not come in as many flashy colors as your minis. I will take the opportunity to point out that Nubians is a standard size goat, and they do come in flashy colors of all sorts. However, they are my least favorite breed of standard goats to raise. They originate from Africa, which, if you think about it, is dry, desolate, hot. They are more prone to parasites where we live in the Midwest here in Missouri. They are also weaker. Those long, adorable ears are prone to frostbite when they're born. They are just a little bit more difficult of a goat to raise. But again, if you want a standard size goat with great production, high fat in their milk, but are flashy, Nubians might be your in-between from still raising a standard but getting some of the perks that a mini provides. Now let's cover the pros and cons real quick in a summary of minis. And again, often these pros and cons could be pros or cons depending where you are and what you're looking for. So minis, lighter on the land, smaller, don't need as much space, can be bred anytime during the year, and produces a lot of babies. Con could be that they produce a lot of babies. Maybe you get so many babies you can't sell them. You don't have the market in your area and you're stuck with a bunch of little mini goats everywhere. Another con is they can get out a lot easier. They're a lot more springy and bouncy. And their production is low. I wouldn't suggest eating a mini goat, though you could. And their milk production is low if you're looking for dairy. I hope this gives you kind of a quick crash course and the differences between mini goats and standard size goats, and maybe answer some of those questions for you. I'd like to take you around and show you some of our standard size goats and what breeds they are, what that looks like, and what the mini breeds, the few we have on our farm, what those look like and what breeds they are. So let's go have a look at that. While we're looking at my cute little goaty goats, if you have any other questions that I might have missed that you have for me about goats, I love talking about goats. Drop it below and I will answer it for you. Let's go.
Baby goats.
Here we have a couple standard size Saanens, so you can get a look at their size. They stand, I'm 6 foot tall, and they come up to about my mid-thigh, to give you an idea.
Yeah, and they're so cute.
So cute. Here are a few of our Nubians that hail from Africa originally. They are the ones I was telling you that come in flashier colors and designs. They can breed outside of the small breeding gap that most standard goats breed in, and they often can have multiple goats. So this breed might be a happy combination of those alpine standard size goats and our mini Nigerian dwarfs, for example. And here we're walking up to a little herd of sweethearts. We have alpines, which are these cuties, standard size. This is a great size comparison from minis to standards. You can even see the standard size kids are almost the size of my minis. These black and white ones down here, these are babies. These are adults. Not much difference. So again, this is alpine, standard size. Here we have Gaia, who's a La Mancha, who's missing her ears. That's normal for the breed. They don't have prominent ears. And these are mini La Manchas that have been bred with a Nigerian dwarf. So they are half La Mancha and half Nigerian dwarf. And let's go take a look at what the Nigerian dwarfs look like. And here is our Nigerian dwarf buck, who we bred with some of our standard size breeds this year to make minis. There's mini La Manchas, mini Nubians, mini Saanens, and this is what will give you the minis. This is a tried and true Nigerian dwarf, which is the favorite of many, many people of the mini breed. They're African-based, warm weather goats, so they do great in the cold too. That's it for today. Hopefully this cleared up some questions you may have had about large and small breed goats. Again, if you have any questions, leave them below and have an amazing week.